Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna do this next part. We're gonna go and, crap, I think I just screwed up. Oop, never mind, I did not screw up just yet. Oop. Well, not yet, anyways. Come on, big boy. Does he have to be on it? Good lord. Come on, big boy. We need you on here. Now, when Garfield gets into office, gets a lot of political positions. Again, why I tend to be a little dubious of him is because he made friends in all the right places, I'll put it that way. The big wigs of the political time and era, like Solomon P. Chase, he's getting a lot of their in their good graces and their goodwill. And politically, I think it's pretty fair to say he was very much against the South in every sense of the word. I don't know if they would consider him a moderate or a half-breed, but I think it's abundantly clear he was probably closer to the more radical wing and the stalwart part than anything else. He is on record saying that he believes that the South had actually forfeited their rights as countrymen within the based off of whatever constitutional law he wants to do. That's incredibly biased, you know. And basically, he was just like, "You guys are vehemently un-American," yada yada yada, you know. He wasn't very much pro-Lincoln, ironically, because he thought Lincoln was too soft on them. Would have rather had someone else. Beep boop beep beep pop 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 pop. And again, he was a lawyer. So he does his lawyer thing in his job around this particular point in time. Becomes a prominent. Oh shit. Hey, that one's on me. I probably should have figured that out. But for most of this time, he ends up basically just working as a lawyer. Ends up supporting a lot of black suffrage policies. Oh, sweet. I think I did it. I would probably say the only thing that's not a stalwart act by him was he was definitely not on board with the impeachment of Andrew Johnson. I think that's very clear. He was one of the few stalwart types that was not for that. But I mean, don't get me wrong, he was okay with the Tenure Act, so he was okay with limiting his overall power, but certainly not impeaching the guy, which it's whatever. I mean, it's like, yeah, we're gonna restrict all his power, but we're not gonna impeach him, you know. I don't know, it's just, you know, semantics really with a lot of these political things back then, especially. Alive? Okay, whatever. Where'd I go? Oh. Ah, crap. Now, I will also be fair to Garfield. It feels like, don't get me wrong, he was always a part of the very aggressive abolitionist movement, sect and wing of the Republican Party. Because I think the biggest issue for Garfield was always money and money policy. This is where the issues of the finances and the financial health and the economy of the country really start coming into swing in a lot of ways. It's basically just the difference between being backed by the gold standard, by the silver standard. I think most people nowadays only really recognize and accept the gold standard. Basically just having a dollar that's backed by something that's precious and real, and I don't know, it just depends on your perspective, really. Put it that way. Excuse me. And the one thing that he was generally against was the don't have to go all the way back to get him. Ugh. One thing he was always against was any form of egregious standards. Like, I mean, people were basically like, the more radical wings were like, let's just do greenbacks and do everything off of credit. And even Garfield was like, okay, you guys are insane. So that's one thing that I will at the very least understand, and at least give him some credit for. I'm gonna die, aren't I? Nope. Just made it. I mean, there's this one section in the book where he's so vehemently against anything outside of the gold standard that he has like some 2-3 hour speech about it. And specifically, I think that's one of those speeches that gets him a lot of prominence. You know, it's kind of like if like Rand Paul's in the House talking about, you know, the economic realities of the House, and people, you know, are much more conservative, let's say, and they're like, oh, I agree with this, oh, I agree with that, you know, like, oh. It gets them a lot of face time, a lot of prominence, and a lot of good faith towards what effectively happens. It's also true that, which I think this is probably the biggest problem with me and Garfield, is around this time, as he's building up his his political power, he's also gaining a lot, and I mean a lot, of influence. Gets a lot of chairmanships and seats on all these committees that effectively change a lot of the things in the country. And I mean, this dude's getting a lot of influence. And it's kind of like, interesting. Specifically with monies, and I think a big reason too is because he ends up being a part of a lot of the Ulysses S. Grant, money laundering, stealing, fraudulent scandals that happened during his term as president. suck it. Which is not aided by the fact that he was on those committees to find fraud and is a part of fraud. Which is even more frustrating because, like, a lot of historians and people tend to be like, they actually discuss, like, was he that corrupt? And most historians, I think, come to the conclusion where they try to be fair and balanced, and they're basically like, well, to be honest, he didn't tell the truth, but he didn't lie either. So it's like, how does that work? I don't think that's, I don't know. I read a lot of these books. I read a lot of these historical perspectives about him and about these presidents, and I'm just like, you are really, my lord, I am just terrible today. You know, you read a lot about these historical aspects of these presidents, and like, I don't know, well, he didn't lie. He didn't tell the truth though. It's like, that's lying. I don't know. I might be dumb. I might just have a different perspective of things, but I don't know. I tend to just be like, okay, sure. Let's get the Omega. I think there's 2 doors we can go through. Let's try this one. Actually, I think one of them I need something else, and I need to come back to do this one. That's one of them, I think. Okay. I'm gonna wait till that comes back up. Long story short, one of them long story short, one of them he ends up basically, let's say, taking a bribe in this form of stocks, and specifically stocks, which is like the equivalent, I think it ended up being like somewhere around $400 to $500, which today is probably closer to, like, I'm gonna say probably 5 to 10 grand, you know, probably even more actually. And not to mention too, he's one of these individuals pushing for higher salaries for congressmen, increasing salary compensation and money by at least 50-60%, you know, like, not to mention he's just like pushing forth a lot of legislation that's adding more power to the federal government. Ends up becoming more and more prominent within the House, and I'm just like, okay, you're just doing this, you're just going for it, and I'm just, okay. Ugh. I don't know, the more I look at it, ugh, I'm just, there was absolutely no point for that. Ugh. I bought an action figure for really no reason. Damn it. Now, he certainly had perspectives. He was someone who had his specific side of the political aisle and the political wing. He was always on the James G. Blaine side of things. He wasn't a moderate. He was always pretty radical in a lot of aspects, a lot of ways. I think he's one of the people that votes for James G. Blaine and like campaigns for him, which leads to a lot of crap. There we go. Which leads to a lot of let's say frustrations within party politics. Oh god. Oh, okay, so no bueno. Maybe if I hurry. Come on. Oh god, come on. Yeah. So far, so good. Boom. I do have to be careful at this part, because otherwise I gotta restart this whole thing over again. Oh! 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 Haha! The Lord is with me today.
Ratchet, Clank, I hope this gets through to you. I'm transmitting from the Thugs for Less fleet. This ship just returned from a megacorp distribution center, and I think I found the answer to...
Hey, who's that?
Meow.
Oh, wait a minute. What are you doing here? Sending a message to your little pals, huh? Well, say goodbye, boys. Take her to headquarters.
Whoa! Did you see that?
Yes, Angela knows how to defeat the Protopet. And she does a terrible cat impression.
And we have to rescue
Should also
her
point
from
out
the
too
bugs.
that
Agreed. We need
despite
that
the
answer.
political
And we have
differences,
to
he always
protect
had
her.
a wink good relationship with just about every single prominent politician of his time and era. It's like, hey, I'm not going to support you for president, but I did support you for governorship, so, you know, don't be mad at me when I support my boy Blaine, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of how he worked a little bit. There we go. Okay. So all the while he's a congressman, he's doing basically a lot of lawyer things and stuff like that.
Ships at 1 o'clock.
Goes to the Montana territory at one point for some reason, just to, I think, make his money there. Oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. That was dumb of me. Oh lordy, there's a lot of you today. Don't need missile ammo. Give me shields, people. Thank you. Full shield. See, I appreciate that. That's one ship down. Ugh, man, you guys are just relentless today. How does Thugs for Less have all these people? Now the big thing for me, personally, and I don't even think this is and I'll be fair, I don't think this is particularly fair on him, because he pretty much just voted alongside the party line, really. But he was one of the people that was instrumental in getting Rutherford B. Hayes, your fraudulency, into the White House. So that's a very complicated election. I'll get more into detail of it, but when stuff like that happens, it should probably go to the House. But it's a bit of an issue for two reasons. One, because states run these elections, and ultimately, and again, I'm no lawyer, so I wouldn't know it. It probably should have gone back to the House for the actual vote to determine who the actual winner was and who should have been the president. But largely speaking, I think the big contentious issue was the fact that it was states that had run improper elections, and ultimately every single, I think it was just 3 states in fairness, but the states had run a very sneaky and tricky election to I'm getting all tongue-tied. It was basically just the difference between, should the states actually, should they have just redone the election and stuff, and yada yada, and the Democrats and Republicans were both vehemently on their particular side of the issue when it came to that, in determining whether they should just do another election, or whether they should just accept it, or should they have it go back to the House, have the Senate vote on it, a whole bunch of different things. And they ultimately came up with a committee, which Andrew Garfield himself was on, where they ended up deciding we're going to have basically a split committee between Republicans and Democrats, which Republicans, by the way, had more seats. So it was a 15-man committee, 8 seats were Republicans and 7 were Democrats. Just want to point that little nugget out. Man, y'all just not gonna give me anything now. Come on, get one of you guys. There we go. Oh, that's just rotating it. Habla! But effectively, Republicans had voted, obviously, that their guy had won, 8-7, voting along party lines, but he was pretty instrumental in basically getting the deals done that ultimately leads to, unfortunately, the, oh, I do have missiles this time. Perfect. I didn't know that. In getting it done, he's like, alright, we'll let Hayes be the guy, and then we will pull all our troops out in the south.
See if you can pick up any transmissions on the deep space channels.
What is your problem? I'm trying to make a living here, and you 2 losers keep lousing it up. Ratchet and Clank, isn't it? Look, if you 2 don't hightail it back to your own galaxy, I'm gonna blast you into so many pieces you'll need well, there's gonna be a lot of them. I can tell you that. So you 2 hit the road, and don't bother trying to find me, because I've got wind. I'm like the wind. You never know where I might show up next. And I blow hard.
Now after that, he gets the Ohio Republican nomination to become senator. Ends up winning it with, I believe, John Sherman's support at the time, who's a prominent Republican of the time and the era. And I don't remember this level. I've literally just played the game and I don't remember this level. Or do I? We'll see. Nope, I do remember this level. I'm a silly boy. It just looks different. Alright, we're gonna go rescue my girl. But he gets the senator, or he becomes one of the senators of Ohio, prominent politician, etc., etc. He ends up mainly getting it because he has a lot of support within Ohio politics at this point. If there was a thing as as an Ohio political machine. Oh god. Can I? Ah, too late. Dang it. Oh, I don't even need. Okay. Huzzah! Okay, here we go. Blow these freaking helicopters up. Yeah. Yeah. Try that on me, bro. Try me. Got a rhino. So while he's senator, things are brewing up. And I know I know Garfield sees what's happening. He sees the writing on the wall in a lot of ways, and he sees that after Hayes, there's like an actual real impasse at who's going to be the next nominee for the Republican side during the 1880 presidential election. Some people dispute that. I think Garfield was a lot smarter and a lot more savvy than I think people give him credit for. He knew what to say, he knew what committees to be on, he knew how prominent of a politician and political figure he was at that particular time and era. He was not a dumb man, okay? Basically, the 1880 convention, it's just at a complete impasse. Probably just the best way I could sum it up. People were like, we need to bring Ulysses S. Grant back. People were like, no, we need Sherman, and we need Blaine, we need all of these guys. And it was a deadlock vote for the most part. And let's just say, I'm pretty sure someone was more along the lines of like, he was like, you know, touching someone's shoulder and basically just like, hey, you know what? I mean, if y'all can't decide, I'll throw my hat in the ring to, you know, maybe be the guy. Hayes wasn't gonna get it. Hayes was pretty much just done with politics at this point because of his time as president, which I did not go into detail about, and I think next time I probably should, because it's a very difficult time. It's a very tumultuous time. And you might have a lot of power during the presidency, but especially during this time, like, there's some real issues going on that aren't being really figured out, and you know, there's a reason why Republicans end up losing a lot of faith in the American people and the populace. Is because of things that they do during this particular time and era. I'll stop appearing, people. Just stop. Nonsense. Get out of here with that weak sauce. Now, oh.
What's so funny?
Nothing, I guess. Prepare to die!
Huh. Right up. won't take a second.
You want some fun? I'll give you something to laugh about. Get ready to feel the burn.
Oh god. But basically, he's just nudging people's shoulders, and it's just like, hey, I'll take the position. You know, I don't mind being the nominee. Long story short, the convention ends up going the way for Andrew Garfield, or James A. Garfield, not Spider-Man. And he ends up getting the nomination. Unfortunately, he doesn't get to choose his vice president. Let's say the Republican political machine ends up pushing forth their own vice presidential candidate, namely Chester A. Arthur. I think they chose him because he was pretty much just a bit of an unknown and a nobody, and sometimes being an unknown can be a good thing, because it's like, oh, you're not corrupt, or you don't have those particular inklings in you, you know? And I think to a certain degree, I think Republicans thought that they can just control Chester A. Arthur and influence him. God forbid anything does happen, and I think it worked out to their favor in many aspects, in many ways, although it's a little more contentious historically than I think they would want.
Catch this.
Running.
Catch this. Try to dodge this. Get ready to feel the burn.
Oh, come on. This was a particularly contested election, too. Republicans do win out. I think his opponent was William Scott Hancock. I just remember that name because it's funny to me. And again, it became contentious because, you know, the states voted along their particular ideological lines. I think New York goes back to being a Republican state over a Democrat state, little things like that. But Garfield does become the 20th president of the United States of America. Wins the majority of the votes, electoral votes, etc., etc. Oh, come on. I know my rhino gun's good. I should just shoot him and see what happens. None of this nonsense. I don't know why. I find this to be kind of a weird boss fight. Oh. So when Garfield becomes president, again, very smart, very politically savvy, I'm telling you, because, I mean, he basically bridged his own party lines in a lot of ways, ends up choosing a lot of people on both sides of the Republican political division. Pretty much his cabinet is pretty split evenly between stalwart and half-breed Republicans who were, who were prominent at the time. And he's like, hey, look, how about this? You guys do this. I'll put this particular person in this particular spot. I'll do this. It's very savvy, you know. And he's like, but you gotta give me this kickback. You gotta give me this. Gotta give me that. Yada yada yada. He knows what he's doing. I'll put it that way. Where is another turn, people?
Dance, punk. Dance.
Little tidbit, he does put Abraham Lincoln's son in his cabinet, which I find pretty cool. I think his only surviving son, Robert Todd, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the Abraham Lincoln movie. Who, by the way, when I get to it, was there actually when James A. Garfield gets assassinated. Spoiler alert. It's not that I find it funny, I just find it fascinating.
Great. Let's go.
It's like my dad got assassinated, I saw the next president get assassinated.
Oh, I meant,
Like, he's just bad
after
luck.
we free Angela.
Thanks. Now, before you run off, take a look at this. I picked it out of Lizard Boy's pocket.
Log entry 4792. Returning from Megacorp's distribution center. And beginning to suspect that Megacorp has lied to me. The extra-large decorative paperweights being stored there might actually be an enormous supply of proto-pets. Which might explain why the whole facility is guarded by ravenous mutant creatures. Their warehouse ship.
Oh, this is a
may
fun
hold
level.
As many as 10 million crates, and with 100 proto-pets per crate, that could be as many as 3.5 zillion proto-pets. A secret shipment that large can only mean one thing. Megacorp is up to no good. I will confront them as soon as possible and demand a bigger Kennedy action.
Are they insane?
But long story short, his presidency is pretty short. I think he basically only serves a year and like a handful of months. Doesn't do a lot. In fact, I think the big problem with him though is he's kind of like a do-nothing president. Just lets things happen, tries to do some national debt reform, tariff reform, starts trying to push forth the international trade and policies and stuff like that into the East and South America, and he doesn't do a lot. And I think I'm going to talk more about his presidency actually, and what he does with Chester A. Arthur, because those two and those 4 years are very, very deeply fascinating.
Break in? How?
But the assassination of James A. Garfield.
We'll split up then. Clank and I will go to the distribution facility.
Charles
You go grab the
Gateau, I
ID.
think is his name. He ends up being the man to assassinate him, which every single historian always points out is because he got screwed over getting some form of political office, and in fairness, he was a radical. Some people and some historians described him as a schizophrenic individual,
See if you can find any more news on the proto
a psychopath in a lot of ways.
And now, behind
And in
the
particular, I think he was
crazy
actually trying
conclusion of
to
our series, Captain
kill
Commando,
Blaine, but then
as of
ultimately
this airing,
chose
the
Garfield
Future
as his
superhero has been missing for almost 6 weeks.
individual he was going
Did he
to
die
end up
heroically?
murking.
Was he the
But this
victim
leads
of an
to
overzealous fan? Or is he
him
still out there
understanding,
somewhere?
kind of tracking where
The galaxy
Garfield,
may
Blaine, and
never
all these
know.
people were going to
Stay
be.
tuned for more baseless speculation and
And in
crackpot
fairness,
theories
I
on
understand a lot of
Behind
people
the
saw
Hero.
when Abraham Lincoln was killed that
It is almost time
saw that
for
as like a one-time thing, kind of like something that's probably never going to happen again, specifically. And Garfield was about to go on a train, tries to go in, I forgot where he was going specifically, but he basically gets shot at the train station. And it's a very fascinating thing because when he gets shot, everyone's like, oh my god, yeah, yeah, yeah. And like, he doesn't die immediately. He actually recovers a little bit, but then unfortunately they couldn't take the bullet out, and he ends up basically dying of sepsis effectively and some forms of blood loss over time. And that's James A. Garfield basically. I think just for right now though, we're gonna just end this part and then we'll continue on just a little bit. I'll end my discussion on Garfield and start with Chester A. Arthur. God bless y'all. Y'all rock. Have a good one. Have a wonderful day.